Hello class, my name is Aaron, and I'm here to show you a brain. And so what I intend to do here is to cut open this brain and show you some brain areas, and hopefully I'll be able to show you the three general brain areas that's discussed in the chapter, and talk a little bit about their general functions. And so what we have here is actually a sheep's brain, and don't ask me where I got it or anything. It's a neuroscientist secret trade kind of thing going on here. But anyways, uh, basically it is anatomically identical to a human brain except for about half as small, and which means we're twice as smart as sheep. But I guess to start, we're going to talk about the recognition network. And very generally speaking, we're talking about the sensory systems of the brain, what allow you to use your five senses and more. And I apologize if you can't quite see this in the video, but looking at the sheep's brain here, the front is here, and the back is here, with this little guy being the spinal cord, attached to the theoretical sheep that no longer exists. But the recognition systems are in the back part of the brain, as hopefully see if I can show you here, in these two big lobes in the back. Specifically, it's very important for visual processing and being able to recognize things just by looking at them. And this is kind of something that seems very basic, but in humans, it's actually the visual. Got to refresh your screen here. Sorry. The visual part of the human brain is actually the visual cortex is actually like a third of the human cortex. So the human's ability to see a whole world in front of their face is actually one of the major things that the brain does. Even though as a human, it kind of comes across as like an automatic thing. It's almost like you're seeing the world as a movie without having to try at all. And in fact, it's all basically subconscious processing that happens back here. You're basically given a readout of your perception, if you will. So it happens in these back lobes right here. And eventually I'm going to cut the brain in half, and you'll get kind of a better view of the brain, hopefully. I want to show you the brain closer, but I don't want to ruin the very expensive computer. Next, I guess we'll go on to the strategic system. And the strategic system is all in the frontal lobes of the brain. Let's see, right there in the front. And the strategic systems are basically involved in everything in your life that you'd almost consider to be a conscious goal, or anything you consider to be like your conscious mental representations of your own thought processes, or your own like being, your personality, if you will. So your frontal lobe is basically kind of tracking your everyday goals. Like as you walk through your life, I don't know, you're walking down the street or I don't know, what's a good example? Yeah. So I have my cup of coffee here, and I might have brewed this cup of coffee with the goal in mind of being able to be more alert, so I can make a good video for you. And I'm going to revisit the coffee example as we go on. So I brewed the coffee with the specific goal of getting the coffee, becoming more alert for the video. And my frontal lobe is tracking the idea to do so, and also it's making sure that the thing in fact happened. And then I in fact am getting the coffee and I'm feeling good. And it's this frontal lobe system that's actually what makes humans uniquely human. The frontal lobe exists in like mammals, but it's relatively very small compared to ours. Humans have a huge frontal lobe. I mean, if you can even imagine the goals that humans do, the fact that you guys are sitting in a class right now is indicative of the fact that you are spending hours and hours of hard work for getting the benefit later of the degree years later, right? And you completely understand that your work is worth it. Whereas a lesser mammal, say a cat, can't plan that far in ahead because they don't have a big enough frontal lobe. They're incapable of understanding like the consequences of their actions, and they're unable to plan that far in the future. Humans basically are like genius frontal lobe, have genius frontal lobe brains, if you will. Like we don't see any better than animals particularly, but we don't smell better than animals. In fact, maybe we're worse than some animals at perceiving things. But when it comes to planning our lives, the frontal lobe is basically key. It allows